Good morning, everybody. You're watching our mid-morning edition of Arirang News on this Monday, July 6th. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Shin Se-min. Before we get started, here are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. The surge in new COVID-19 cases shows no sign of slowing down. South Korea, for the first time in 3 months, saw the number of new cases rise to 60, but authorities say there's no need just yet to raise the distancing measures. Some $29 billion will be injected into the economy starting this Monday. It's the third round of emergency cash already, designed to help cushion the blow of COVID-19. Washington's top man on North Korea is reportedly visiting South Korea this week to perhaps push forward the denuclearization talks that have not moved an inch for over half a year. Our starting point this Monday morning. South Korea on Sunday reported an additional 61 new COVID-19 infections, marking the third straight day that the nation saw numbers at 60 or more. Quarantine officials here say while it's not considering raising the social distancing level just yet, it is indeed a serious situation. Our Lee Seung-jae with more.
Another 61 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed in South Korea on Sunday. Having reported 63 cases on Friday and Saturday, it marked the third straight day that the nation saw numbers above 60. Since early April, South Korea has steadily lowered its daily infection numbers, but the latest cases marked the first steep increase in 3 months. Seoul, Gyeonggi-do Province, Daejeon, and Gwangju are continuing to see cluster infections. Quarantine officials say while the recent uptick in daily infections doesn't call for hiking the social distancing level, it is a concerning situation.
Although we are preventing the large-scale spread of COVID-19, the situation continues to keep pace with the speed of detection. It's like whack-a-mole at the moment.
All the more concerning is the speed at which the virus is spreading in the southwestern city of Gwangju. Quarantine officials say most of the infection cases stem from a church in the city, leading to more than 800 of its members being placed in quarantine. Of the total infections in the city, more than half are people in their 60s, but 44% of the cases are asymptomatic. The virus has also spread to a nearby region, leading to Jeollanam-do Province raising its social distancing level to 2. Gwangju city officials say if the situation worsens, they might hike the social distancing level to the highest, level 3. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Across the globe, the number of new daily cases of COVID-19 marked another record high on Sunday, hitting 210,000. The World Health Organization says that of those, around 61% were in the Americas. The United States and Brazil remain the worst affected countries, with the nations having daily confirmed cases of more than 53,000 and 48,000 respectively on Sunday alone. India is also seeing a rapid surge, with the daily cases topping 20,000. According to Johns Hopkins University, global cases now stand at over 11 million. Hundreds of scientists are urging the World Health Organization to fully acknowledge the airborne spread of COVID-19, highlighting the need for the agency to revise its previous recommendations. In an open letter to the WHO, 239 experts from 32 countries outlined evidence that smaller particles can infect people, contrary to what the organization had said in the previous times. The WHO says the virus spreads primarily by large respiratory droplets that once expelled by infected people via coughs or sneezes fall quickly to the ground. The scientists plan to publish their letter in a scientific journal next week. Medical personnel at screening centers are exposed to the risk of infection when collecting samples for COVID-19 testings. And to reduce such risks, South Korean researchers have developed a robot that can remotely collect the samples needed for diagnostic testing. Our Park Se-young with more.
At COVID-19 screening centers, the medical staff must wear thick protective suits. But despite such efforts, medical teams in Daegu and Gyeongsang-buk-do Province were unable to avoid infections amid a surge in cases in February.
The surge in cases has led to more infections among medical staff.
To protect medical staff, South Korean researchers have developed a remote sampling technology. The researcher controls the robot using a master device while watching a monitor from a separate room to check the position of the nostril. The remote robot then moves as directed and collects the sample. The sensors on the robot also allow the user to adjust the strength of a swab.
We have to be able to see the force is properly felt to check if the swab is in the right place, so it was designed to measure the force.
The researchers plan to add artificial intelligence technology to the robot so that it can automatically locate the sample area. The robot, developed using purely domestic technology, will be deployed to frontline medical facilities immediately after clinical trials. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
The provisional session of South Korea's National Assembly kicks off on this Monday, but it's expected to be a bumpy road as the rival political parties have not narrowed their differences on some of the major agendas, one of which being an anti-corruption probe team. The ruling Democratic Party of Korea wants to accelerate the launch of a special agency aimed at investigating corruption allegations among high-ranking government officials. But the main opposition, United Future Party, argues that the unit would violate the Constitution. It means the planned launch date of July 15th still hangs in the balance. Also, heated debates are expected over the approval of new diplomatic and security posts within the Moon Jae-in administration. The confirmation hearings will be held for Park Ji-won, nominated as the head of the National Intelligence Service, and for Lee In-young, a four-term lawmaker of the ruling party, for the Unification Minister nominee. South Korea will begin the execution of its largest ever extra budget of more than $29 billion, which was drawn up to offset the social and economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this third extra budget will mainly focus on helping the unemployed. Our Kim Hyo-sun with more.
The third supplementary budget approved by South Korea's National Assembly in 2020 alone is the single largest distribution of funds in the nation's history, standing at over $29.2 billion. The budget, devised to minimize the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, is even larger than the extra budget passed in the aftermath of the 2008 global financial crisis. It also follows the year's first and second extra budgets, totaling up to nearly $20 billion. Considering the importance of timely spending, the government aims to execute up to 75% of the budget within the next 3 months.
It's time to focus on the budget's swift and effective execution to maximize its effects. Above all, the government needs to help laborers on the verge of unemployment as well as companies facing a liquidity crunch.
The third extra budget will mainly support those who have lost their jobs as the unemployment rate surged following the pandemic. The budget for job-seeking benefits stands at over $10.8 billion, which will support some 490,000 unemployed people. Those who have been unemployed for over 6 months will receive some $400 a month for 2 months. The government also plans to create 310,000 public jobs to help societies of most vulnerable people.
The extra budget will help the country overcome the unprecedented economic crisis and become a valuable cornerstone to establish new economic foundations to lead the post-COVID-19 era.
Seoul also plans to lay out a comprehensive plan for its economic stimulus measures, dubbed the Korean New Deal, which entails spending some $83 billion over the next 5 years. South Korea's finance ministry is set to disclose the details of that later this month. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Stephen Biegun, who also doubles the role as President Trump's point man on North Korea, is likely to visit South Korea on Tuesday this week for talks on Pyongyang. While his visit comes at a time of increased tensions, there's also hope that his trip could get nuclear diplomacy back on track. Our Kim Sang-min with more.
Stephen Biegun is reportedly coming to South Korea on Tuesday ahead of a scheduled trip to Japan. All eyes are on the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State's possible visit since he hasn't stepped foot on South Korean soil in 7 months. It also comes at a time where tensions are escalating on the peninsula, as well as between the U.S. and North Korea. Details of his visit have not been confirmed yet, but he's expected to stay in Seoul for 3 days, visiting the Blue House and meeting with his South Korean counterpart Lee Do-hoon on North Korea issues. In June, Biegun urged Pyongyang to return to the negotiation table, saying that reaching a deal depends on the North, adding the U.S. has detailed plans to make progress quickly if North Korea re-engages. However, his comments were directly rebutted by North Korea. The North's first Vice Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee said the discussion of a possible summit between the U.S. and North Korea ignores the reality on the ground. However, watchers still say this could be the North's attempt to pressure the U.S. for revised negotiations. The possibility of the two countries holding a summit was also implied by South Korea's Blue House. But considering the sensitive issue comes in the run-up to the U.S. presidential election in November, experts say Biegun's visit is not expected to move the needle that much. 김성민, Arirang News.
At least 2 people were killed and several others injured on Sunday following a shooting at a club in the United States state of South Carolina. According to the Associated Press, police confirmed at least 4 of the 8 injured are in critical condition, and the suspects are still at large. It appears that the club was hosting a concert as part of the July 4th Independence Day celebrations, breaching the state's order banning indoor gatherings of over 50 people due to increased risk of spreading COVID-19. Back here in Asia, torrential rain has slammed parts of China and Japan, claiming scores of lives, with rescue workers in a desperate search for the missing as well. In Japan's Kumamoto Prefecture, at least 20 people are reported dead, while 14 are in critical condition, with 14 others still missing. Now, that region saw up to 100 millimeters of rain per hour on Saturday, with villagers desperately seeking food and water. Also in China, torrential rain in northern part of that country has affected 26 regions, with 121 reported dead or missing.
Good morning. An umbrella is a must to start the work week. Monsoon rain will pound Jeju through tonight with 30 to 80 millimeters expected there, while other southern regions will be seeing 5 to 20 millimeters until this afternoon. Central regions, though, will get isolated rainfall during the day today. Temperature-wise, afternoon temperatures will be 1 to 2 degrees higher today, Seoul getting up to 30 degrees, Gwangju and Gyeongju at 28 degrees this afternoon. Keep the umbrella at hand as we are expecting rain for the time being. Nationwide monsoon rain will start this Friday and it's likely to rain until next Thursday. Meanwhile, for the next couple of days, we are likely to see passing showers across the country. Meanwhile, afternoon highs will stay on the warmer side with humid air dominating, but as we can see, it shouldn't be too bad. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for views around the world.
And that's our time at this hour on Arirang News, but we'll be back with more of the day's headlines coming up in our later newscast at noon Korea time, so stick around. Thanks for watching.